Hello and welcome to the Hospitality Twins podcast. I'm Jerry Reyes.
And I'm Ramon Reyes. Tourism offers us an opportunity to visit new places and experience new and exciting attractions.
But it's the people within the hospitality industry that make these experiences unique and memorable.
We look forward to shedding light on the talented people who make the hospitality industry special.
And also to providing coaching and career tips to those seeking to join our industry. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Hospitality Twins podcast. Today, Ramon and I are lucky enough to be joined by Johanna Martin, Director of Housekeeping at the Hilton New Orleans Riverside, one of our largest or the largest property here in the city of New Orleans. So welcome, Johanna. We're very, very happy to be meeting with you today. And we're going to go ahead and jump right in, if you don't mind. And I just want to point out that you've had a stellar career thus far. Tell us a bit about how and where your career in hospitality began and the path that led you to where you are today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here. When I heard about the podcast that you guys have, I went behind and started listening to all of them. I liked it. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me. How did I started in this industry? I actually was born and raised in Ecuador, and I was going for marketing in my university back home, and they had an opportunity of a continuous studies here at the University of New Orleans. And I jumped in. I was like, okay, here I come. I got to take HRT for the first time with Dr. Chaco as an elective because I was going for business. And oh my God, like he found in me something that I didn't even know I had. I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And I changed my major to hospitality. And mind you, I spoke no English, zero English. And I was like, how, they give you the opportunity to go and actually practice what you're studying. And they're like, they give you this work permit so you can go and experience it and learn. And I was like, well, no English. And so my first job actually was as a sitting hostess. So as a sitting hostess, all you do is they give you a little paper and that's the table number. So you learn the chart and then you direct the guests to the table and you basically say nothing except for good evening, good morning. So that was my little English as far as I got. So it was perfect. It was perfect for me. And, few months after learning English and became the sitting hostess, after the sitting hostess became the actual hostess and the desk hostess and the captain. And after that, it just went, fell in love with it, found myself truly in the hospitality and being servicing to others. And I've held different positions, background per se will be food and beverage. And then I make the jump into rooms. Front office manager, director of operations, executive director of housekeeping. And then housekeeping is kind of what I found my niche, found myself a little more because I was able to apply a lot of my experience as a operations manager and as a Latino, be able to speak the language. It was be able to help others. It was great. So yeah, that's really how I started and where I am now. In one of the largest hotels in hospitality, 1,623 rooms. Woo.
Yes,
Yeah.
no,
It's a large property.
It is, and look, it's a big job, and it's exciting that that's an opportunity that you have to, as you mentioned, you found your niche in housekeeping, and to be able to do it in the biggest property in our city is an amazing thing. And look, I'm amazed to hear from where you began as a hostess to see the heights that you've reached today and holding that role today. And I'm excited to hear that kind of some of that was sparked by Dr. Chaco. Ramon and I, we both have had experience with Dr. Chaco, having gone to UNO ourselves. And I actually teach a class now at UNO. And although Dr. Chaco is now kind of, I guess, semi-retired, he stays so busy, he's not really retired. He's even come to guest speak at my class now. So it's a surreal moment for me when that happens. But I have to commend you from going from studies in marketing to then finding and acting on the passion that you found within hospitality, and then reaching this goal that has come through so well, or you've accomplished so well in reaching this goal, this position today. You mentioned serving others as well, and that is something that both Ramon and I are passionate about as well. Tell me a little bit more about that, about what your view is on serving others and how that plays a role in what you do today in your role.
Serving others for me is very it's in me. I'm not sure how to explain, but there's no barriers between what I can do for others, if I'm able, if I'm capable of do so. Serving other doesn't have a title, or it doesn't have a tag price. When I devote myself to something, I do it, and I serve in a sense. I serve as a leader. I serve as a mother. I serve as a human being, as a, as a Latina woman. I mean, there's so many ways that you can serve, and not necessarily you serve expecting something in return. I found myself serving others and finding the reward in as simple as a smile or as a thank you. Mm-hmm. And that really has been hand in hand on the position that I've held. Yeah. I never saw myself as this unreachable person, or this person that no one can talk to. I have a pretty open door policy. I always been there. I tell my employees in the mornings when I do brief shift, and really every position that I held, I work for you. You don't work for me. You work for the company, the hotel that I'm working at the moment. Yeah. But my job is to serve you. I work for you so you can do your job better. And that is always that I discovered, growing up, not necessarily as a child, because I was, grew up in a house with my parents were really, whatever I kind of want, I was, their poster child. But growing up later on in life and coming to this country where I didn't have my parents, I didn't have, someone to back me up, and learning that I could do so much for others, as little as food or clothes. I learned that every 6 months I can change my wardrobe from winter to summer, and whatever I don't fit, or whatever is not what I'm going to wear or haven't worn in a few months or a year, I can pack it up and serve to others, give it to a shelter and give it to other people. Yeah. And serving on my language. I mean, I signed up for helping when the pandemic happened and I was at home going in crazy. I signed up into several places with the government and how to translate to people that needed service and that needed help. When the vaccine come, I signed up to translate and how to get the vaccine. And serving, we go to a church and helping others. A lot of people look at it as a bad thing, like you are a server, you're a servant. No, I actually look at it as an opportunity for to make someone's life different. And I carry that with me. I actually had the opportunity about 10 years ago to go with our church to Peru. And when I tell you, they had translators, and this translator actually couldn't make it. And they asked me if I'd be willing to translate this pastor for their service. And I was like, okay. And that you have to be a servant to do that, because honestly, there was no money involved. There was nobody. Right. And I have to jump in. And when I tell you, I translated for about 3 hours to over 10,000 people.
Wow.
In this stadium in Peru. And I couldn't believe that. When I finished that, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And it was really that. It's in me. Like, I want to serve others. I want to, in my hotel, I am the director of housekeeping. If I'm walking in the hallway and a guest asks me for towels, I'm not going to go and find someone to deliver towels. I'm not going to say, call the front desk. No, I'm going to get you towels.
Exactly.
And my employees, when they're down in the hallways, I can put this request for a broken lamp or a request for, let me do it for you. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like it's in me. I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a really big family. We all help each other out somehow, some way,
Right.
and really make me a better leader.
Exactly. Look, and I can tell you, and just listening to you, I know that Ramon and I both share that passion, and that passion to serve others. And it's never about status. It's all about making sure that we are serving others to hopefully help them advance, whether it be in a personal way or in a professional way. And I believe that for me, my experience in housekeeping, and Ramon also worked in housekeeping, that was the role that I held that allowed me to utilize that the most, whether it be anything, again, personal or professional for the team. Those rewarding moments were frequent in housekeeping. So you can do small things to make huge differences in people's lives. So I commend you for doing just that.
Yeah, look, I'm not surprised to see that you've been so successful, Johanna, with having or by having that approach. You know, it's serving others and having that mindset and building your team and the culture that you build within your departments as a leader that way is typically not only going to bring success to the department, but to you personally as well. And so kudos to you. You know, I commend you, just as Jerry mentioned, that is at the heart of how we lead is, you know, we to lead is to serve, and I consider it, and I've said this on other episodes of the podcast as well, is that, you know, our purpose in life is to serve other people, and we have the good fortune of doing this every single day. And when I say serve other people, I'm not only speaking of the guests that come in through that we welcome within our hotels, but also our fellow family members and associates that we are fortunate to work with every single day. And so kudos to you. Definitely, you know, appreciate you sharing. Now I want to, you know, go back a little bit because you mentioned something within your opening with regards to, you know, your track record and the path that you took. And I want to sort of focus in on the fact that you said, you know, English wasn't your first language, obviously, right? And you're growing up within our industry and not only having to strive to build a career, but also learn the language and work past sort of that barrier that exists there. And I just want to just say kudos again to you to be able to do that and reach the level of success that you've been able to reach today. Jerry mentioned it, but it's not, you know, it's nothing small to be female, Latina, in charge of housekeeping in the largest hotel in the city of New Orleans. I think that, you know, to think back, sometimes we don't take the moment to reflect back in terms of where we started in that track, that path that you took, and really pat ourselves on the back. And you certainly should.
The relationships that I have built throughout the years. I want to say my best friend, I met her when I was a student hostess. She actually taught me some English. Although my kids think that I still need some work to do. They're like, Mom, that's not how you say it. In New Orleans, it seems like a big city, but really it's a small town. There was someone once told me, oh, if you ever wanted to move up or get to be a GM or have a department head position, you're gonna have to leave town and come back. And I was like, I refused to believe that. I was like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to make it. So I was in different departments and different hotels because of that reason, you know. And I really moving around in the city had really, it's a joy to be able to pick up the phone and call the director of housekeeping or Hyatt and the director of operations at the new hotel, or, you know, hey, what's going on? What do you think? Have you found out about this? I love that. And that is really something that my boss right now, which is the hotel manager, Sebastian, we used to work together at the Ritz-Carlton. And the little things like that, you know, people that my assistant director right now, I used to be also her boss back at the Ritz-Carlton. And I'm talking about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So that's one thing that I really love about this industry is the relationships that you build. I met my husband in the industry. That was 19 years ago. We've been married for almost 18 years. So it's really, it's a great, my kids' godmother are in the industry. Like we all, It's really,
Yeah,
it's
it's
really hard.
it really is. It really is big and small city at the same time. And
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure Jerry agrees with you, and I do as well. It is an industry where you build these strong relationships,
It's family.
and yeah, it's family, and
Mhm.
picking up the phone. It's a tight knit community, and those that now within the industry, you've grown up together within the industry. I started off as a doorman. My wife was in the industry as well, was a server. My brother was at the same hotel that my wife worked at, and his wife worked at that same hotel, which was
Right.
back then the Wyndham Riverfront on Convention Center
Mhm.
Boulevard. We obviously we're family now, but we all grew up in the industry, built these
Exactly.
strong bonds and relationships. But as we grew in the industry, we kept those bonds intact, and it
Mhm.
really is just a fantastic industry. And especially as you grow and are able to call on those counterparts, for to lean on them for advice, or to for guidance, or to share resources. I think people that aren't behind the scenes like we are, don't know that exists, but it really is a tight knit community, and those
Yes, it is.
relationships are pretty strong.
I agree 100% with
No,
that.
no doubt, no doubt. And Joanna, look, I know we've said it, and it's amazing just to hear your story. But we can't say congratulations on your success in the hospitality industry thus far enough, because I'm sure that the road is still being paved for you as you continue to grow throughout the industry. But you know, growth, as we talk about that, and we've talked about your growth. Growth that's in this industry isn't easy. We've all experienced it. You've experienced it. It's There's always a lot of opportunity that's experienced as we grow within the industry. What would you say has been the most difficult aspect of growth in the industry for you?
Setting my expectations as high as my expectations on other people. You know, believing that, thinking or wanted to believe that other people can put in the same passion and the same amount of hours of I did, or I do. It's been kind of growing pains,
Of
growing
course.
pains until I adapt myself to them, and until they adapt to myself and my work ethic. It's been it's kind of a growing pains. I always lived this, my mom, and I'm sure a lot of Latino moms say, I don't care if you're a trash picker, a garbage man, you better be the best garbage man at what you do.
Exactly.
That
And
is very common. Yes.
Very
yes,
common.
it's
That
very
is very
common
common.
with
Yeah.
Latino moms. And
Exactly.
it's always been something that is in me. It's like I expected others to do as hard and to put as much effort and to be the best.
Mhm.
And it was, but I'll adapt myself, and I have to sometimes take back and be like, okay, well, it's not that way. Well, let me, work around it, or even nurture some of those type of people into and mold them into get more out of them, productivity wise. So that's kind of like one of the things. And another thing that I always say, it's, when you find that person that they're so fresh, like they are, and you mold them to you, and they become your A person and your A's, and you use them for everything, and they're so good at what they do. And then eventually someone finds them that are great. They're like, you want to be a manager? And I'm like,
Right.
They steal them from you.
It's
that is
still
the one thing that, but hey, I'm all for growth. That's how someone
exactly.
so know me, and they picked me out from whatever position I was, because I was good at what I was doing. But when you're in the other end, it could be,
Yeah.
it could be
Yeah.
difficult.
No, but definitely, and that's something to be proud of at the same time, because if you're able to be a part of someone else's success, and you mentioned it, you're all for individuals' growth. I think that throughout our careers, we've all experienced folks that may have been a subordinate, and then became our peer, and then they've also now reached their goals. And I think there's something special to be said about a that level of opportunity in our industry, because there is that level of opportunity. I always
Mhm.
tell folks that this industry will give just as much or more to you than you give to it. So the more you give to this industry, putting in the time, putting in the work, showing the passion, showing the drive, it will give that and more back to you. And you're an example of it, Joanna. in everything that you've talked about today that you've done. You're a true example of that. Coming to this country, not having, not even being able to speak the language, and
Mhm.
then coming to where you are today. I think that's something that should hopefully be an example to others. If someone doesn't have that drive that you have, then hopefully they see that drive as hopefully an example of what it takes to reach these goals.
It is so wonderful to hear you say you focus on developing others. And I think the great part of this industry. I know Jerry hit on it, but I just want to expound upon it a little bit more. The fact that even if you count all three of us, someone can start as a hostess and eventually end up running the housekeeping department in the largest city of New Orleans. Jerry started as a server. Now he's a general manager. I started as a doorman. Now I'm a general manager. That growth opportunity that exists in our industry is just truly fantastic. And it takes leaders like you, Johanna, that are focused on their development and investing in those players. Once we see the passion, because I don't necessarily care so much about your resume at the time. I care more about your passion. And if I see that you are willing to do the job and you're passionate about it, and just relentless in that approach of, because what you described is always wanting to win. I think that's what we look for in individuals that want to make a career out of our industry. So kudos to you again for investing in those individuals and focusing on their development. It is truly an aspect of our industry that I think not many people know about in terms of that path for growth that you could have. And I love the fact that you have those high expectations and that passion, because again, that relentless approach to win is always very healthy, in my opinion. And it's going to drive you, and it's going to help others, right? And again, it's all in how we do it as leaders, but overall, I think challenging the status quo is a good thing, and going through those growing pains that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely.
It's true. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of the people that actually I had kind of put my time and my effort on, I lead or I teach by showing. Not much of telling, not much of saying, but more of, I am willing to put in the same amount of work as you are. I'm willing to hold your hand to the next level, not necessarily tell you to get to the next level. I'm sure you guys probably once had a boss that just told you what to do, and however you want to do it, you got to figure it out, right?
Right,
Those
right.
are good things and bad things. I mean, for me, I took it as an opportunity to show that I can do it and was able to come on top. But there is always sometimes when you need that guidance, and you need that the push, and that someone not necessarily to show you, not to necessarily tell you what to do, but show you how to do it. And that is always not always, I want to say always, because I started learning that I'd rather show how to do it than actually tell how to do it. It's always been not always, keep saying always, but it's something that I learned through the years in this industry, that it worked better. I get better results by showing than actually telling people what to do.
Yeah.
And that's, and I'll give you a perfect example, if I may. This morning, we finished a really big project at the hotel, and the ladies are tired. They're tired. They, on Saturday, what is the biggest thing that room attendants or just anyone in the position that they are, is when anyone touches your tools to do your job. Right?
Yes.
And it is just
Especially
it really,
housekeeping.
especially in housekeeping. It really sets the tone for your day. When you start your day, you don't have the tools to do your job. And when I say showing, is I everyone, I'm sure, have tried, because I'm the person that studies and tries and learns how others do it before I put it in play and put it in practice. But on Sunday, I went to Office Depot and I got all this neon markers and all this kind of stuff. And I went in, and one of the challenges that I have right now are bottles, the filling of the bottles for the chemicals, right?
That seems to always be a problem.
Yeah. So I went, and I was off, and I couldn't, I was like, why can I make it better for them? They have worked so hard. and having to come to work and having to argue about bottles. But when I tell you bottles, I have cases of bottles, okay?
Yes. Yes.
But for somehow they like the one that is filled, the one that wants next door to them. So I went to Office Depot and I was like, give me the permanent marker, the paint, whatever you have that doesn't come off. And I need it and I want it. And I could have actually just tell my manager, say, I need you guys to do this. This is the process, and lay it down, do an SOP about it and send it out. But no, I wanted to do it myself. And I took the opportunity to actually see how the ladies are handling the cars and how, and I visit every one of my 49 room attendants that I had scheduled on Sunday. And I touched base with every one of them. And I told them what was my purpose of being there with my super colorful markers and putting numbers and I wasn't given a number. I tell them, what's your number? What number do you like? What number would you remember? Because I can cookie cutter and be like 1 to 10. You get 1, you get 2, you get 3, right? And no, what number you like? Oh, I like 99. Perfect. You're number 99. And that is one of the things that I always say, I can tell you how to do it. But how about I show you? I teach that to my managers all the time. My managers, sometimes I tell them, hey, go, I just walk the floors randomly, and the floor and the 20th floor is full of trash and linen. And we have a big arrival day. The operations of our day is through WhatsApp. So everybody has a phone, everybody's in WhatsApp. So I finished telling this to my manager, right? Letting them know what's going on. And they are like, immediately get in the WhatsApp, hey, linen and trash on the 20th floor. Go check it out. No. And this is what I use my opportunity. Come on, let's walk to the 20th floor. Why don't you find out why is the linen and trash?
Exactly.
Why does he? And then we find out that one of the cars had lost the wheel and he just tried to fix it himself without telling anyone because he just wanted to be good. And those are the things that I always say. It's like, don't tell people, and when my husband and I, like, when he tells me what to do something, I just looked at him and I'd be like, let's rephrase.
You know what, Johanna, though, what I want to say is that you gave a great example, right? I think that the action of trying to make sure that you satisfied what was a big issue to them, the bottles, right? And I've had the same issue, still have the same issue here.
I'm sure I have the same issue tomorrow.
Right. But even though that may not solve the issue 100%, what your actions do is show them that you care, and it afforded you the opportunity to interact with each one of them on a day, and they will now work that much harder for you because you care about their day. You care about every small component of their day. And that goes a long way. That's also serving others, as you mentioned.
Well, thank you for sharing that example, Johanna.
It wasn't easy. It was 6 hours of my day off, but hey.
Hey, you know what? It's going to go a long way. Like Jerry mentioned, I always tell everyone there's a big difference between leadership and management. And what you did was leadership, because management is, I always describe that as the checklist part of your job. You got to be able to do the job. You got to be able to clean a room and operate and do the things that you expect everyone to do. But the example that you said and the message that you sent to them is 100% leadership. And that's going to get you through those days where you may have call offs and you have to give extra credits. They're going to work harder for you because you're their leader and you're knee deep in it with them. And you will come in on your off day for 6 hours to handle bottles. And so, you should definitely be proud, but I appreciate you sharing that example. So, I know we touched on this, but you manage within the largest hotel in the city of New Orleans, one of the most difficult departments to manage, in my opinion, and the one department that has the most impact if it goes sideways or if it goes well, right? You manage the largest payroll, the largest checkbook. You can't sell rooms if you don't have them clean, right? So you have this big role, and you should be extremely proud that you're in it. But as a woman in leadership, and also as a Latina, and thinking back to your story in terms of how you got your start, I mean, what does that mean to you as far as holding that role, and what advice would you give to others that are aspiring to do the same?
It means to me that I'm breaking the box kind of like the check mark,
Yeah.
I often sit in rooms with powerful men, with president of companies, government officials, on some resume meetings, or when we have someone coming into the hotel, and it's usually me, and everyone else is in a suit and a tie, and here it comes with the hoops and the, the Latina flavor and the bright colors, and
Yes.
it's me, I'm proud. I'm proud of not just me as a person, but I'm proud of what I have accomplished as a human being. Really, I always say that hospitality, it makes you a better person. It makes you a better mom. It makes you a better human being. It makes you a better everything. Like, you see so much when you are in this and in and out and every day of what do you do in the hospitality industry, or whether you work as a hostess or whether you work as a director, you see so other people's lives that share with you because you guys spend so many hours, and it really makes you a better person. And as a woman in leadership, as a Latino, I'm I am one of you can be me. I'm relatable. Anyone can, if they put the amount of time and the effort and the passion, can be sitting in my seat. I have countless memories and countless, I can bring back, the moments where I walk into a room and my heels clack, 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 and everybody's like quiet walking into the room, and I'm like, okay, and I see there, and all my jewelry sounds, and my bracelet sounds on the table, and everyone else like, okay, like so quietly. I'm proud. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of who I am, and bring myself and my personality, flourish with that, and being as a leader. When I lead to my team members, they seeing me their mom, they seeing me their friend, they're seeing me their boss, they're seeing me their counselor, their teacher, their person that will get them out of in the end of the day. And that is really what I see myself in it. I saw one of my I had really great role models in my career, and a lot of, I can count them with my hands how many were there female. I had great bosses, and I only probably have one female boss in all my years that I can, that I serve as a role model.
Yeah.
So it's a proud moment. It's a definitely in not just as me as personally, but as a woman and as a Latino. We Latino often get to be break records. We find our way. We do not like to be, pat down. No, what I want to do it. I want to be next. And it really makes me content and happy that I can be that.
Well, you should be, I think that is absolutely awesome. You're breaking barriers, and paving the way for other people. And I think even within your own department, right, people that are within it and that are looking up to you as their leader, aspire to grow just like you do. And I think that's, it's a rewarding feeling when you can see that happen. You mentioned earlier too that when we were talking before the call about laundry and when you have to interact with some folks with laundry and they see that that you're not the typical or the what they've normally come across in terms of a leader in that area, and sometimes the responses that you get and having to work through those barriers and challenges and still be successful. Again, can't say sing your praises enough. So, I mean, what advice though would you give to those that are, again, looking to take that same path as you have and aspire to be a leader?
Be the best that you can do in the position that you are, whether it is you're working for a 200 room property or a 1623 room property. Put the same amount of effort and the same amount of passion at the position that you're in. I go back to what my mom, Latino moms say, if you're going to be a garbage man, you better be the best garbage man. If I'm going to be the leader, I'm going to be the best leader it is. Regardless of the position that I hold, or regardless of the property size that I work for. And my advice is that once you find your passion, once you find your niche and you find this is what you want to do, just to be the best out of it. Forget about whether your shoes are high and people wonders all day, how do you work with heels? And or whether your jewelry is too loud, or whether you are, you come from a country that is a third world country, and regardless, it's you do what you want to do the best at what you do. And really has really opened doors for me in a terms of when I tell you that I would have done exactly the same thing with the bottles for my 1,600 room property with 49 ladies on a Sunday, with the 12 ladies that I once ran before, it would be exactly the same thing. I would have put exactly the same, and actually had done it in other smaller properties. And that is it. I wanted to, whatever position that you are in, my advice is that find yourself, because once you find yourself, you are breaking your own, your own barriers. If you find the way that you wanted to be at the position that you are, and at the department that you lead in, or you could be a restaurant manager, and whatever position you are, be the best at it, no matter what the size. Or no matter how big your audience is, that my 10,000 people that I translate to, no matter what your audience is, just put the best of you.
I think that's such great advice. We I've and I know Jerry's the same way. I try to instill that in other people too. I say, look, give 110%, give all you got, and if you want to grow to another position, do 100% of what you need to do today, and work in that capacity for that next position that you want, right? If you want to be a leader, carry yourself as a leader, and do your job at the best of your ability. You mentioned, the phrase that you heard growing up. I think my brother and I heard it the same, but it was or slightly different, I should say. We were told, hey, if you're gonna clean shoes, those shoes better be spotless. So it was basically, if you're gonna be a limpia bota, those shoes better be like spotless and shiny. And so I think that is fantastic advice, and certainly one that I hope our listeners take, and certainly the folks that you have the good fortune of working with take as well. So we appreciate you sharing those details.
No, and one thing I want to just piggyback on that, Johanna, and you hit this as well earlier. Uh, we have a lot of talented people within our industry. We've got a lot of talented people that have come into one role and have morphed into another. But we know we've all experienced it, because today you're in housekeeping. Ramon was in housekeeping before I was as well. And there are room attendants, there are supervisors, there are managers that are very, very capable. And a lot of times they get in their own way. They just have to want it. They just have to want it and chase it, just like you did, and be relentless about it. So although you mentioned that you kind of have to pull of, I don't want to call it drive. I don't want to call it drive, but they don't see it the way that you do. You're looking for perfection, but we can coach those individuals to understand, well, why is it that Johanna's looking for perfection? Why is it that it's important for Johanna to look for perfection? Because the reality is that chasing perfection is what's gotten Johanna to where she's at today. Exactly. So I think it's critically important to, as we coach others, to share with them why we're chasing that. Because I can tell you, I was listening to you and I felt like I was listening to myself.
I did too. I did too.
and because a lot of times I have to take a step back and I'm like, is it going to be too much if I go talk to them about this? So I know exactly what you mean.
A lot of the questions I say, but why not?
Right.
Why not?
Right. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Why not? Well, why does the pen have to be put in right next to perfectly in the line? But why not?
Right. Why do I need to see that logo on that pen facing me? That's
why not?
Why not? Why shouldn't it be?
Got me a lot of like, you're gonna give me more answers than I give. Why not?
Right. Well, and I share that because I think that we also, as leaders, we have this responsibility to pay it forward, to lay that path. You've already laid that path for others, but I think that if we can close that gap, then we can see more Latinas in the role that you're, more people of minority, people of color, more people, more diversity in those people that are in those leadership roles. If they can close that gap, have that passion, work just as hard as you have to reach where you are, I think that if we help those individuals close that gap, it will be very, very beneficial to them and the industry.
Yes.
So again, I appreciate the
We
passion
need
that you
them.
have. Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, one of the things I want to kind of switch gears here a little bit, and because you've been here, you talked about it. You said you were sitting at home, when the pandemic came to be, but our city, our industry, and the people of our industry were severely impacted by the pandemic. Many properties were creative and taking different types of business than they had in the past. Your property in particular being one of them, being very creative in the type of business that was taken. In our city, you've also been the first to host attendees from meetings and conventions that were at the convention center, which I'm happy to hear that we've started to host. But you guys at the Hilton have been lucky enough to be those first hosts for those smaller groups. So as we see daylight and look to get to what we may term our new normal, what advice do you have for those that may have left our industry and are uncertain about coming back, or those that are looking to come into our industry?
So what I tell those that left the industry, I want to tell you come back. But here's what I really wanted to, my advice for those that have left the industry for whatever reason, some will be the pandemic, some restaurants closed, and there was no job for them to come back to. Hospitality, it's in you. Okay, hospitality, you can tell me that you come to work every day, whatever position you do, and you interact with so many different strangers and so many different people from different backgrounds, and you're just not social or not hospitable.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that it's in you. If it's in you and you left the industry, and you can do two things. My advice is either you put the what you have learned in the hospitality um, in work in the new position that you're in, or come back to where your passion is. Once things get to where they need to be or where they were before, or even better than they were before, um, come back to where your passion is. Hospitality is in you. That's what I always say. We are a different type of breed. i
Yeah.
We
i,
are.
I dealt with doctors and in my with other business partners and people in different industries, and we are a different type of breed. Like we
Yeah.
are,
I agree.
we are so sociable, we're smiling, we're willing to serve others, we're really to willing to help others. And also an advice for those that left and found something better, then if that's what you think that that's what you want to do, then be the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
Be the
Agreed.
best at it, because hospitality is not for everyone. It's for the one that wants it.
Yeah.
And it's really, my advice for those that left, it's, if you really miss it, if you really find yourself saying my pleasure to your children, you need to come back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's time.
You
It's
need to
time.
it's time for you to come back. If
It's
you find
time.
yourself opening the door for everyone else that at the mall that come behind you, or
Right.
it's time for you to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
You ever, that's like that, I've seen it happen because it happens to me all the time. But when you have like three people in hospitality trying to walk out of a door, everybody's trying to hold the door
Yeah.
and nobody's walking out of the door because
Nobody's walking out. Like, wait,
we're all
Yeah.
passionate about it.
or
But
you running to press the elevator door. That's
Yeah.
my
exactly,
I'm going to bed
exactly.
like first. And everyone's like, what? I'm like, oh no, I'm just, what floor would you go to?
Right. What floor?
It's
Yeah.
in our blood. It's in our
It's in-
blood.
It is
no
in our
matter where
blood.
you are, but I
Yeah.
will say this is that I think that uh, you put that so well for those individuals that are missing or not aligned with where their passion are. Come back. We're welcoming everyone back. And for those that left and had aspirations, or maybe even didn't have aspirations of reaching the level that you're at, leadership and management. I would like to, advocate that you are the perfect example for those individuals to use to understand that this industry will, again, give to you more than you give to it. You can carve out your own path. You could be like Johanna and go from having come in the industry, not speaking any English as a hostess, to now being, a director of housekeeping at the largest hotel in a major tourist destination city. That's
Mhm.
a beautiful example. You are the example. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah, no, definitely great examples, and I love your passion. When you speak, we can tell that this industry is certainly something that you hold near and dear,
Yes.
obviously it contributes to your success. So what's your outlook on the future of hospitality? Because we're talking about where we are today, the pandemic that we just endured, and the city of New Orleans has gone through major events in the past as well. But as you think about the future of our industry and how, so to speak, we'll rebound from this, what do you think the future outlook is for you when you think of hospitality?
Hospitality is never going to disappear.
Yeah.
Even though everybody is like, oh, where it's going to be now, hotels, you don't have to pass by the front desk per se. And you get your key and your phone and you just
Yeah.
plug in or what have you. But, guess what? If you need to order something, a towel, a robot is not going to bring it.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you towels.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm going to bring your slippers and your bathrobe.
Mhm.
And, it is a way of hospitality. I love where it goes, where it's going, and in terms of technology, in terms of reaching out others, and now you can, you have so many tools to be better, to be able to reach out others better and at their level. There is the people that doesn't necessarily want to talk on the phone, but you can text, you can keep, so you can, there's all these little tools. And this really is my outlook in hospitality. It's not going away.
Yeah.
We people wants to come back to being served, and people likes to sleep in a really crispy bed. So definitely we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I
We're
think
not going anywhere.
the future is bright, and I
Yes.
think, we've come back from, obviously other major events in the past, and I think that, to your point, we're going to come back, I think, even stronger. There's certainly a bond that was created between the individuals that continue to work through the pandemic, and also those that are working to rebuild our hotels post-pandemic. There's a bond that exists within our teams, and we're so passionate and really just excited to welcome our guests back, right? And just continue to pay it forward. I think you hit on a point that you talk about technology and everything that's changed in our industry, and certainly we're becoming more efficient. But you think back to what they said about ATM machines and bank tellers. They said, all the ATM machines are coming up, the bank tellers are going to disappear. And subsequent to that, you ended up having more bank tellers and
Right.
just as many ATMs, because, just as, they look at that experience, that human interaction, certainly for us too, that's hospitality. You need
Yes.
people to be part of that, because our hotels are a shell, they're a box, right? It's not just about that. It's about the hospitality that you feel when you're welcomed into a city and into a hotel, where people that are there are passionate to serve you, and hopefully create some memorable experiences. And that begins before you arrive, certainly, and the people are a crucial component to that. And so kudos to you, and I agree 100% with your outlook on our industry. And again, I just cannot thank you enough for sharing your story with us, talking about your path, and honestly, just to feel your passion come across in some of your in some of the
Exciting.
dialogue that we had today. So thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us. And I hope,
grateful.
and I'm pretty confident that your story will be an inspiration to so many other people. So we appreciate you sharing it with us.
But I always tell one of my ladies, because my ladies, some of them are new to the city. They just came in and they're fearful. They're like scared of, what I'm going to do when I pre-screen them from interviews and things like that. And I always, I don't sit separated from them. Like I sit next to them. tell me about, what do you want to work here? What do you, trying to dig in on that. And it's something that like I say, I can teach, I can teach you how to make a bed. I can teach you how to use the latest technology system ever, right? But I cannot teach you how to genuinely care for others.
Yeah.
So that is in you. So if you have that, if you wake up in the morning and you want to make somebody's day, or if you woke up in a bad day and someone makes it a good day for you and makes you realize, wait, I should have done it better. You should be in hospitality.
Yeah,
exactly. You should be in this industry, and the city of New Orleans has so many opportunities, so many areas that you can develop yourself. And I don't know if Dr. Chaco necessarily would agree with this, but the hospitality industry is not something that you really have to have a degree for. It's like, if you really, really like it, if you really find your passion towards, you can make you opportunities are endless. You don't have to have a master's degree. You don't have to, to be a general manager, to be, and they actually now a VP of a managing company. There is so many, places where you can be in the industry, and that's really what it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah,
I wish
it is.
They had it. I wish they have something like this, especially in the city of New Orleans, in their high schools. I know some high schools do have it.
Yeah.
They have some programs with hospitality, but I wish there would be more of that, because the people from New Orleans or New Orleans or however they call you, it's in us. I consider myself a New Orleans now for all the years that I've been living here. But they have that. They have that they can explore, and they're kind of born with.
It's innate. That's
Exactly.
It's like everybody lives and breathes Southern hospitality. It's not just a term. That's what people live and breathe there in New Orleans. And so I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I wish maybe you guys can start a program and then we can put it in the school.
Yeah.
Invite me over. I'll come over and then,
that's right.
Exactly.
So,
That's right.
I have 3 boys. So what these kids are, they learning from me. I teach them and I show them, but not every kid is exposed, at an early age to the Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
I wish we had some of that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you again for that final word and certainly for sharing all these details with you. I really just appreciate your thoughts and your vision, your outlook on the industry. So thank you for spending time with Jerry and I today.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Hospitality Twins podcast. Ramon and I enjoyed our conversation today with Johanna very much. To find more information about Johanna, you can find her on LinkedIn, and that's Johanna Martin. And we look forward to you joining us in our next episode.